Hello, my friends. It's Laura Victoria Ward here in Role Play. This is a participatory class. I'm inviting you to move with me. It's all going to be sort of free form movement. You move as big or as small as feels good to your body, listening in, moving today with our fluidity, with fluid systems in our body. So we've got like our cerebral spinal fluid, we've got our lymphatics, we've got blood circulation. Those are three different big fluid systems in our body. We've got the extracellular matrix, and that's sort of what I'm going to be talking about today. And that's all the stuff that's outside of the cells. It's also called the interstitial fluid, the stuff in between the cells. And finding ways to kind of like let that ring and pulse so that we can squeeze out some of the toxic crap and invite in the healthier stuff into our cells, into our tissues, into our bodies, into our systems. So it'll be very whole systems, but it'll be movement, play along. Okay, so we're going to play with the fluidity of the body. Oh, there's Georgina. We got one more coming into the room. We're going to play with the fluid systems of our body. And those are the big obvious ones are our blood. And then there's our lymph. And then there's also our cerebrospinal fluid, which is in there protecting and bolstering our brain. Then we've got this other very exciting stuff called the extracellular matrix, or the interstitium, or the interstitial fluid. And that's the fluid that's not inside the cell, that's outside of the cell. And what I want to play with today is a very phenomenological, meaning our experience of ourself, movement with these fluids in our body. So we can play with this idea that as we move and as we micro move, the tissues in our body are kind of doing this. And as they move, they start to soften and become more hydrated. So our fascia gets softer as we move. It's like our superficial fascia on the surface has got a lot of fat in it. And when we get warm and that fat melts, it becomes more fluid. So moving from like a warm place, or imagining moving from a warm place, because I think it's very cold where me and Georgina are, and it might not be there where you are, Maria, but thinking of moving and taking the fluidity in your body and the more fibrous parts of your body, your fascia, and letting them kind of dance with each other. And it could be very small micro movement bubbling up, or it could be very big macro movement, big, large gestural, postural, full-scale movement. So gestural might be very small, postural might be very big, the whole torso, but it could be any way that feels good and interesting to you. So thinking of like you're taking your whole body, this very three-dimensional, integrated, spongy system, and you're letting all of these little moves happen to twist and shift. And what the idea is that as we're allowing this shifting and twisting and squishing and squeezing inside, we're inviting in more health. We're creating space for vitality. We're letting our system detoxify through movement by like taking the material that is not serving us and letting it metabolize through our body. So it's not stuck in there, but we're using movement with intention to like clear the rivers of our body, clearing the river systems of our body. And so often we think of movement as like, it's my bones and my muscles doing this. Just let go of that idea of bones and muscles doing anything and really invite in the element of water, the element of fluidity, and allow your nervous system to dance with the fluid in your body, creating the possibility for healing, creating the possibility for more patterning. So the extracellular matrix, which is this kind of like snotty material, is also sort of very intelligent. It helps cells bond to each other and separate from each other. It does all sorts of things to help us exist. So imagining that you're just bringing online that extracellular matrix, right? It's the stuff that has the dimensionality to shift and change. Like it's very biomorphic material. And like, it's kind of like, almost like really soft jello or snot, like clear snot. Love the imagery. But imagining that you're sexy, my sexy snot body coming online. So letting yourself invite in micro movement, little teeny twists, little teeny spirals, or bigger, more expansive movement. My initial idea with role play was that we would be really rolling on the floor. So if I change my relationship to gravity, the water in my body, the fluidity in my body is part, and my fascia are part of what inform me of how I'm relating to the space around me. As I move, I can feel the weight going into the sense of gravity. So letting myself explore the space around me or the space within me with this idea of using the gravitational pull of the earth with this fluid extracellular matrix and inviting in a sense of freedom and a sense of filtration. Like we're letting our system do some of the filtration. And what are we filtering? We might be filtering what we had last night through our body. It might be nutrition, it might be toxins, it might be like the toxic situation we're in. Maybe we need to filter some of that by letting it move through our system. So it could be the filtration could be working with the nourishment of your system. You can also be getting rid of like dead cells, different things. You're absorbing and reabsorbing the material that you need to be healthy. So inviting in that like fluid intelligence with your personal intention towards feeling better, having more health, and allowing yourself to swim around within that. Feeling the support of that fluid. So the fluid is usually not as thin as water. It's much more structured. Giving yourself the opportunity to really just play with that. And I'm going to take it down to the floor and I'm going to let myself pour around. Being water, how does it feel if I just imagine, if I play with the idea that my whole body is a body of water? And then inside of, around the water, there are these structures, there is fiber, there is form, but even a lot of that fibrous form is filled with water, is filled with fluidity. So inviting your systems to integrate and become more coherent just through easy micro movement, lazy movement, delicious movement. And you may go, oh my God, not the people in my room because they've done this a bunch. They are great at just making up movement. But if you're in TV land and you're not certain what to do, feel what it feels like to connect to something. You could connect to the floor, your bed, the chair, and let yourself kind of pour from one place to another, the contents of your body, pouring your body of water around. Allowing in and inviting in micro movement. And this could be movement that's really, I want to say subconscious, meaning under the conscious layer, but it could also just be the biointelligence, the biomorphic intelligence of this fantastic system of fluidity and fiber, the system of intelligence that is your body. And imagining that there's no separation. While I have this idea of the cell does this, the extracellular matrix does that, all of it is within one. It is in me. And as I move through space, I'm also sort of becoming one with that space or becoming one with the ground as I connect to it. As my body relates to gravity, as I understand where I am in space, like my proprioception is very related to the water in my body because I can know where down is by feeling it. Even with my eyes closed, I know what's up and I know what's down. So imagining the inside of your body being like this very three-dimensional sponge with different like areas of density and fluidity, and inviting the whole the whole thing to be informed by this fluid intelligence. And if it's helpful, imagine that you are, I say this all the time, but I just feel like these are the best metaphors. Like imagine that you are sea grasses being moved by the water, or imagining that you are an octopus, imagining that you are a sea, even a jellyfish, no bones, just soft tissue and fluidity. And allowing yourself to dive deeper and deeper into sensation with that. So like bringing your awareness right in. What does it feel like? And maybe sometimes you need to calm down and just go, oh, I need a break. I need to just rest and not do anything. You can still bring your awareness in that space, and maybe even take it into the micro movement of breath, the micro movement of the support of your whole body working together. And I'm just feeling the need to say this. So inside of our sort of central channel, on the inside of our spine, is a whole system of lymph nodes. So when we move, when we spiral our spine, when we give our spine some freedom, some head tail freedom, we're stimulating the movement of that lymph. Movement, deep diaphragmatic breathing stimulates lymph, and lymph is really a fluid system in our body that is working towards our health. So we're inviting that lymph to like move with wisdom through our bodies. And it's almost like we could also think of being like a baby in grandma's arms in the rocking chair, and even just that rocking, letting our nervous system soften, letting the fluid in our body come into a very gentle space. So even small movement like rocking can just be incredibly healing. My grandma lived to be 105 and a half, and she had a rocking chair that she spent most of, a good portion of her day was in the rocking chair. And if she was in the chair, she was rocking the whole time. So what's happening to the fascia? What's happening to the nervous system? What's happening inside as that gentle rocking is happening? It's calming. It's being fluid. It's maintaining the life force of a fluid system, as opposed to stagnating in stillness or too much tension holding and not allowing the tissue the freedom to digest, to metabolize whatever needs to happen. So I'm going into this very simple movement called the heel rock. You can do it or not. If you're on a journey that you're interested in, just stay in there. Keep going deeper and deeper into what you're feeling, if that feels comfortable. But if you need a little bit more direction, see if you can invite in this heel rock. Just digging the heels into the floor, letting the pelvis free up, letting the rib cage free up, letting the head free up, inviting a wave of movement up and down. So there's tons of like just free form movement that you can do that may bubble up and arise, but there's also like exercises that you can do to start to bring this on. So this heel rock, also what I like to call the greatest exercise for lazy people. You can do it laying down. You don't need to do it a whole lot, just a little bit rippling through your body, inviting your system to find freedom. And then this could also just be done easily rolling from side to side, taking your time, massaging out the body, massaging out your back, your butt, your hips. This could be on a bed, but if you want to get more sort of action in your fascia, then on a harder surface is going to be better. But if you're feeling pain and it's uncomfortable, then make it easy, make it comfortable. And you can also like just stay in one area. What if I just move a little bit, rocking this one area? How is that for me? Like this moment for me, right in this, feels just incredibly delicious and nourishing. Like it's like, oh, I'm being held and rocked. Right in this time of isolation where people aren't getting much chance to be with other people, can we use the floor to find the nourishment that we need? Or can we use our bed or our body in relationship with something else so that we can feel connected? I don't know, I can. It doesn't work for all times, but sometimes it's great. Letting yourself just be easy, easy inner body. And if you feel like, oh, but I'm worrying about this, that, and the other thing, just imagine taking off that backpack and putting it away. And maybe as you take off that backpack of your worries or the things that you might be freaking out about, imagine that the earth just swallows it up and digests it, composting. So yeah, the energy isn't wasted, it's just put into something else. Yeah, I'm going to add music to this. And I think I still have to share screen. Oh, I am sharing screen, sharing sound. Amazing. So yes, I am. I'm going to put on everyone's favorite Jeff Gersh, Ambient Fields. I am eternally grateful to this man for playing guitar in weird places. And it's also a friend of Georgina's. Let's go with this one. Music's just coming on. If it needs to be turned up or turned down, please feel free to let me know. Allowing the music to inform your movement. So anytime we add sound, vibration, it could be sound coming from inside of you or from outside. Inviting that vibration in to either inspire your movement or just to inform your tissue, giving that gentle vibration. Yeah, so in this invitation, feeling into what would feel good for you. How might it feel tastier and more delicious? Is there something that would be good? Like, oh, if I just could lay on my side, it would really feel better. Do it. Or if I went into quadruped, or even on my belly, anything. Yeah, or even on a physio ball. If you have a physio ball, you can drape over and just hang out on it. Hugging that ball of the physio ball, the ball of air, if that feels good. Only working towards deliciousness and yumminess in your body. Letting go of any kind of crapola that isn't serving you. Letting your movement speak. Saying whatever needs to be said. Letting your movement express. And sometimes those expressions are things that you don't even know are there. And I've said this before, and even saying it might make me get emotional, but sometimes there's emotional stuff happening inside. So be compassionate with yourself if there is. If you need to stop, take a break. But if you can allow yourself to move through it, that's another thing to do. Another way of being in it is like, okay, this is happening. Like sometimes it happens. I'm moved to tears as I'm moving. And sometimes I just need to keep letting that pour out of me. And then eventually it changes and shifts. Yeah, working with emotions and with our bodies, like it's not like there's this much and then it's done. It's like on this day, maybe there's this, and on that day, it could be like that. And the weather can change very quickly, or the storm can blow in really slowly. For me, if I can keep moving through that process and keep going into sensation, it allows me to clear a lot of that material, which isn't to say that something might not come up again in an hour or tomorrow or in a week. It's just giving yourself the freedom, giving your whole body mind the freedom to express. I just saw a friend of mine. She's got a Facebook group called Inner Fire Woman, and I just saw her with a pillow throwing a tantrum around a room, and the thing was about like women being allowed to express their anger and like having an outlet for that. So maybe something's in there that needs to come out. Let yourself let yourself tune into the intelligence of the fluids in your system to release whatever needs to go. You can use sound, you can use breath. And sometimes it does feel good to get really muscular and push and pull. And sometimes it feels good just to stay in the sort of liquid state, the fluid state, pouring yourself around. Maybe even surprising yourself with the movement that arrives or arises, giving yourself complete freedom. And something might happen. You're like, what is going on? Really? Let it just happen. Think of all the times you weren't allowed to move in your life, all the times where you were told to sit still and you behaved and you did what you were told. And give yourself complete freedom to shake all of that off and out of your body, or to pour it out, letting that whole idea just be shoved into the earth and composted. Yeah, sitting still for learning was just torture for me. And when I went to the Laban Institute, and my classroom was a big dance studio, and there were physio balls and all sorts of toys, learning became something very different, much more enjoyable. Although I did have one of my teachers tell me that they didn't appreciate me moving all the time during their class. Oh, well, sorry. Won't mention any names. So allowing your body to, like a sponge, wring out some of that stuff, some of those directives that don't serve you anymore, some of those directives that aren't, and they may be things that you self-impose, or they may be cultural impositions or familial impositions or political. There are all sorts of impositions, somebody else's reality tunnel imposing upon you. Allow yourself to break some of that stuff apart and just let it fall to the floor, letting your body be easier, and coming back into the wisdom and intelligence of your own inner healer, your own inner guidance. If we listen, it's in there. With compassion for ourselves, compassion for other beings, for compassion for the planet, compassion for the creatures. Intelligence is in there, in that extracellular matrix, helping you form your body, helping you shape and form. Are there any messages for you? And you can ask. I could say, extracellular matrix, is there something I should know? Or maybe even it's something like, maybe the wisdom, we've been talking so fluidly, but the bones, and even the bones have fluid. The bones have form and fluidity, hydration, there's that bone marrow inside. Is there something I should know? You can ask your bones, is there something I need to know right now? The wisdom of your ancestors are in your bones. It's in your DNA. The wisdom is there. Finding some kindness in your body. Kindness and support in your body. Compassion. If you're somebody who works at a computer a lot or something where you're on your feet a lot, every once in a while, see if you can tune into the fluid system and let yourself kind of move with that, just so that we keep coming back into these intelligent fluid systems within our body that can create more spaciousness, more ease, more presence. Maybe more safety when we come deep into ourselves with that. And if you experience some resistance or some kind of gripping or some kind of tension, maybe it's there for a very good reason. Maybe it's protecting you. So we can also be friends with that and be compassionate with our own resistance, compassionate with our own tension patterns, with our own gripping, accepting it. The octopus is not judging herself. She's probably not judging other people or other creatures other than, is that something I can eat or is it going to taste yucky? What if that was the way we judged other people? And maybe ultimately it was that at some point. Am I going to eat you? Will you taste delicious? It's good to have a sense of humor in your movement. Don't take it too seriously. So I'm going to add a theta breath to my movement. I'm not sure how that's going to affect the music or if you'll even hear it, because sometimes the earbuds drown it out. But it's basically a long, soft hissing sound, like the steam being slowly released from a radiator. There's my old-fashioned Victorian house for you. inviting that slow, extended exhale to last for as long as you feel comfortable, and then taking another breath, having resting breaths whenever necessary. But going with that. Feeling what that does to your fluid systems as you tune into that sound. If it feels uncomfortable or stressful, then don't do it. But if it feels interesting, just play with it. Breathe resting breaths whenever necessary, adding the soft hiss whenever it feels good. When I listen into my own movement, if I think I sort of know where something's going to go in the movement, but then I tune deeper, it invariably goes somewhere else. So start to try to listen to what is the next move, and maybe even don't go there until it's so hungered for that you have to move into that. If you're in a flow and it's very comfortable and easy, that's fine too. Allow yourself to become comfortable with not knowing what's going to happen next in your movement, in your system, just letting it unfold, listening to the whole thing, and really just inviting in online that fluid intelligence. Allowing the participation of sound anytime that feels good. That's the other thing, right? We were told to sit still. We were also often told to be quiet. maybe it wasn't quite shut up, but there's also there can be many indicators that somebody doesn't want to listen to you. So you learn to not speak or not to say anything. So letting sound out, can also be healing for the throat, healing for the neck, healing for the tongue, healing for the rib cage and lungs. And then, of course, there's the vibration of sound. But we want to start to heal that cultural anatomy that restricted us, that held us back, starting to comb it out. The thing that said, you aren't right, not you, we don't want that. Please do this. It's only this way. Let that start to fall away. Because it's your birthright to be here. And you are amazing. And there might be super fantastic gifts that the world is just waiting for you to share. And maybe you're already sharing them. Maybe you're in that dance. Maybe that's part of the fluid dance of being. And then there's the bodhisattvas and the people like Thich Nhat Hanh who came to the earth to just help people in general. I don't think they have that much stuff to work with, just other people's stuff. But I feel like for most humans, as long as we're alive, there's going to be more stuff. That's part of being alive. slowly turn this down. The slow fade out. And then invite anyone in TV land to maybe put on your own music and continue your own exploration. And all my Zoom room people, I'm going to stop recording.